A year later, like last.
May I continue, please? In 2000.
Silence! Now, as I was saying about the topic. Now, in 2000. That's better. Now, as I was saying. A year later, like last one technically, two animated projects from Warner Bros. Animation were released on the same year, with the first being a TV-based animated film like playfully says its combined title,
Though in this case not exactly by Warner Animation Group, and it is a low-budget animated movie for probably home media standards, but still overall an official theatrical Warner Bros. Animation production with some fun visual quality in this occasion.
Featuring DC characters from TV to movies by the name Teen Titans Go to the Movies. The story centers on the heroically playful Teen Titans, Robin, Cyborg, Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire, when they witness Hollywood starting to make blockbuster movies about all of their super peers. But the group realized that the world doesn't consider them as real heroes worthy of gracing the big screen. So with determination, the Titans decide to prove themselves by taking on the supervillain Slade and become famous for their potential movie spotlight. Now before I go on, let me take in this case a quick summary of its origins. As you see, this is essentially based on the DC Comics Teen Titans, starring some superhero sidekicks which influenced several adaptations with several characters, starting in the 1960s with Filmation's The Superman Aquaman Hour of Adventure series, and later modern adaptations,
specifically from the comic book series that ran from 1980 to 1996, The New Teen Titans.
Like the direct-to-video animated films, and especially none other than the Cartoon Network animated series, which that was developed by Glenn Murakami and Sam Register, with a stylized art and anime influence on the animation, and featuring 5 main characters: Robin, Starfire, Cyborg, Raven, and Beast Boy, with the main villain Slade and the theme song performed by the Buffy Amiyumi duo. The series received critical acclaim in general, that the show aired from 2003 to 2006 with a TV movie as the series finale. Due to its popularity, it spawned a comedic spin-off series called Teen Titans Go, which it technically became popular with some positive reviews plus higher TV ratings and fandom. But on the other hand, when it comes to the latter note, it was despised by others due to its subpar quality compared to the original series. But despite that fact, due to new positive popularity plus ratings, it spawned a possibility of making an animated movie adaptation, and that is the topic we are getting into. As I said before, based on the popular TV Teen Titans franchise in general, to be safe. Anyways, in September of 2017, it was announced that a Teen Titans animated film visually based on the spin-off series would be made. The essential franchise into a film previously began when the TV series executives Michael Jelenic and Aaron Horvath thought of a fun idea of making a movie that would be a satire involving Hollywood production related to the superhero movie making topic, with clever use of pop culture references of different movies including Marvel and Disney properties for the sake of humor on the story. So when everything's set up and greenlit by Warner Bros. And DC Entertainment, Jelenic and Horvath were involved additionally as co-producers, with latter executive along with producer Peter Rida Michael as the directors. With apparently just a few months of production, the goal for the visual look is a colorful yet large scale of cinematic settings, especially the modern Hollywood environment, plus the fact that since it is an adaptation from the series, it had to be faithful to its art style and characters. Speaking of which, the character design for the spin-off franchise plus this movie, as a reminder, while still faithful to the recognizable hero group of the original series plus the anime characterizations, their visual aspects were redrawn to a much fun and cute style reminiscent to Japanese chibi anime. One example of fun chibi-style spin-off would be the acclaimed animated series Avatar.
And most surprisingly, the first chibi spin-off called The New Teen Titans that appeared in the DC Nation shorts, and those animated shorts influenced in making the Teen Titans Go spin-off.
Anyways, with a tight schedule, the animators managed to craft easily the characters and effects by drawing and moving digitally with the same Flash software.
Even including some live footage, like from either clouds and space for the backgrounds.
Plus some random yet smooth hand-drawn animated style sequences were crafted as funny references to other media like The Lion King, overall crafted together with some collaboration from the same TV Canadian animation outsourcers and additional overseas for the animated segments.
Also making the colorful use of some modeled CGI props and the cinematic use of perspective for some animation shots in a smooth and mostly three-dimensional way. Despite of pretty much having the same stiff animation added for the movie, and still having a lot of fun with the materials given to the animators.
When it comes to the casting, voice actors Scott Mabel, Hayden Walsh, Carrie Payton, Tara Strong, and Greg Sipes reprised their roles from the series, while also providing the additional voices of several characters for the feature. Other members of the movie cast included Frozen's Princess Anna actress Kristen Bell as the famous yet twisting filmmaker J.D. Wilson, and Will Arnett, known for his Lego Batman role, provided the voice of the villainous Slade,
but also in this case as co-producer of the film.
As for other known superhero characters, musicians Leo Jashci and Halsey were part of the cast, like Green Lantern and Wonder Woman respectively, with Nicolas Cage as Superman, who the latter was originally slated to portray Superman in the Tim Burton's cancelled film Superman Lives in the 1990s. Plus the fact that the Green is hilariously aware of the failed Green Lantern live-action adaptation.
Well, has there been a movie about you?
So many, and more to come.
It took a while, but yeah, I have my own now.
There was a Green Lantern movie, but we don't talk about that.
Interestingly enough, similar to the Lego franchise, this film contains many special appearances of recognizable characters from the DC universe in different media, including in this case a Marvel cameo appearance by Stan Lee himself, which is also one of his last cameos in movies. Composer Jared Faber was brought to the musical score and songs performed throughout for the movie, just similar to the Lego franchise when it comes to adding musical moments for the sake of pop culture humor and references suitable to the tone of the film's satire, probably even faithful to the spirit of the spin-off series comedy. With all finally finished later on,
even putting in this special case a wacky animation-related segment featuring Daffy Duck and Porky Pig for the WB animation logo, animated by Eric Goldberg.
On July 22, 2018, it got its red carpet premiere at the Hollywood Chinese Theater. Speaking of release plus St. Peter premiere, this is technically the first theatrical 2D animated film produced by Warner Bros. Animation since the 1999 animated movie The Iron Giant. Plus the fact that this film became officially the first animated film by DC and Warner Bros. Released in theaters nationwide since the 1993 Batman film Mask of the Phantasm. The Lego Batman film can also count as a DC-related film, but on the other hand, it's just a Lego franchise movie.
On a side note, an animated short film called The Late Gatsby, created by My Little Pony artist Lauren Faust, was included for the film's theatrical release, which also served as the pilot for the comedic animated series DC Superhero Girls.
So when the film was officially released on July 27, 2018, it went very well on its reception, with critics praising the playful quality of the animation, comedy, voice acting, and writing, with many considering that the film distills the enduring appeal of its colorful characters into a charmingly light-hearted adventure whose wacky humor fuels its infectious fun and belies a surprising level of intelligence. As for the financial reception, despite it eventually having a lower weekend due to being released at the same time with another action-packed film, Mission Impossible Fallout, it still managed to become in its own right a decent hit by domestically grossing $29.6 million plus a total worldwide final gross of $52 million against a simple $10 million budget. As for awards, although it wasn't much but random nominations, it got a nomination for Best Writing at the Annie Awards, but it was given conversely to Spider-Verse. plus the fact that it was expected to be nominated at the Oscars when pre-selected, but it didn't get the nomination. An episode of Teen Titans Go, titled Tower Renovation, which was about the Titans reconstructing Titans Tower after Slade destroyed it in the events of the film, premiered about a month after the film's release. Sometime later, after being released on home media, the film would get a standalone sequel involving the crossover between the two animated versions of the Teen Titans. Like what happened similarly to Batman and the Killing Joke, the film got an exclusive premiere at the San Diego Comic-Con 2019 and later be on home media on October 15, 2019, released with positive reviews from critics and audiences. With one critic considering that while it isn't the most revolutionary film ever, nor does it reach the truly ambitious scale like previous film or thematically similar to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, it's still a successful love letter to the franchise that incorporates plenty of humor and heart. With that said, even if you go to the movies that debatably takes place on the 5th season, the movie itself has proven in later notes that no matter what form they come in, even as a fun standalone animated movie, the Teen Titans can have compelling and emotional stories even amidst gags about superhumans fighting Santa's elves in every manageable way in entertainment.
Then again, there has been some expectations that even confirmed by the actors themselves in later news that there are still possibilities of a worthy revival of the original series thanks to the success of this film and its crossover follow-up, plus a mysterious post-credit scene despite being cleverly put as either the crossover teaser or now even a clever commentary reference of the essential Teen Titans, implying that they will always be ready for a potential go in action.
This is the Teen Titans. Can anyone hear us? We think we found a way back.
A few months later, another animated film will be officially released in CGI by Warner Animation Group, with a cute concept of Bigfoot in reverse plus snowy setting, oppositely titled as Smallfoot. The plot follows on Migo, a Jedi who after accidentally gets flown away for his first duty as the traditional Gung Awakener, encounters a human known only as Smallfoot, and he's convinced that it's real and more beyond its kind, but the Chief and the others don't believe him. So with the help of Chief's daughter Michi and the SES, also known as Smallfoot Evidentiary Society, Migo is on the quest of finding evidence down the mountains, where he'll meet a human video explorer named Percy and take him as the one proof needed to demonstrate the Smallfoot's existence and discover what's more beyond outside the mountain. The concept took place from an original idea by Sergio Pavlos, specifically an unpublished children's book he made named Jedi Tracks. This caught the attention of writers Glenn Ficarra and John Regua to write a story by also adding the elements of either Jedi or Bigfoot. So when the movie concept was pitched and later in development, writer Kerry Kirkpatrick joined the project in July 2016. Originally, Ryan O'Loughlin, a DreamWorks animation veteran, was involved as the film's director, but then he was replaced by Kirkpatrick.
Going through the early development of the characters and story, and even before the director was involved. At first, the project started at the Spanish studio Sergio Pablos Animation Studios, but then the production was moved into Warner Animation Group when the newly placed mainstream studio was yet starting to produce new animated films, including the Lego movies.
During production, when checking the early character explorations, Kerry viewed Percy as a Skybomb type of character through an animatic test,
even giving repetitive gag lines, and not much personality or motivation for the story.
While Michi, on the other hand, was considered underdeveloped that she had to be explored through several rewrites by then giving more sense of curiosity on her personality and as the official head of the ESS.
While giving Percy more arc and depth to his character after later revisions.
Other elements put for the thematic story was by observing Brexit and the rise of nationalism, drawing inspiration for Kerry along other truthful topics that he even stated. Truth was under attack, certainly. Phrases like alternative facts were being thrown around. So, it became an age of misinformation fueled by agendas that are often fueled by fear. And like, I want this result, and so I am skewing the truth. That is just in the zeitgeist. For the voice of Migo, actor Channing Tatum, who previously performed the Lego Superman character in the Lego franchise, was chosen to portray the character. while the British human character Percy was interpreted by James Corden.
And the female human colleague Brenda was provided by Yara Shahidi.
Interestingly enough, other characters like Michi and the Stonekeeper, they were performed by singers Zendaya and rap artist Common. While the rest of the Jedi voice casting included Danny DeVito as Migo's father Dargol, YouTuber star Jimmy Tatro as the chief's son Torp, and the rest like surprisingly basketball player LeBron James, Gina Rodriguez, and Eli Henry provided the voices of the rest of the SES gang. Speaking of the latter actor, Henry was originally hired as a scratch vocal for the film before its final release, but then he was invited to join the cast and eventually voiced Flynn in the final product.
Funny enough, when it comes to voice acting and sound editing, to make the contrasting sounds of Jedi talking and Smallfoot talking through their perspectives, on one hand, the crew used a software called Reformer, which uses different sound of animals roaring with a combination of the actor's dialogue to provide the sounds of a Jedi.
Blimey, good growl. Did you put an amplifier inside there or something?
As for the squeaky voice of the human character, was provided and high-pitch mixed by movie sound editor Peter Ettinger, with a funny use of random gibberish language in a similar style to the minions from the Despicable Me franchise.
Are we saying the same thing?
Regarding the film's visual look, the crew explored creative ways of imagining how would the world building of the Jedi land with a hint of Stone Age influence and how it interestingly functions with secret layers and fascinating natural environments with some prehistoric elements that include bright giant snails and other kinds of colorful creatures including the mammoths. As for the human world, it would look typically like a relatable down-to-earth land with Asiatic architecture in the Himalayas setting with a snowy environment. When it comes to designing the cast of characters, besides of having some cartoony style in the expressions, the influence of their aspects, aesthetics, and characterizations is partially made as an homage to the classic animated shorts and specials like the snow monsters from Wrecking Bass stop-motion films, and possibly the Looney Tunes Jedi character.
But also getting inspired in other abominable snowmen in the Disney media, such as the one that appears in Monsters Inc., and the one that appears at the end of the Disneyland attraction Matterhorn.
At the same time, the artists also took creative liberties of size and most of the furry parts that make them uniquely look like they were Jedi-type clothing, especially on Michi's royal-type appearance, while the chief uses additionally written rocks on his body like royal clothing as well. As for the humans, that will be a combination of down-to-earth, cartoon and stylized look in general with some colorful use of clothing. With the help of the same animation company that provided the animation for Storks, the character animation used the combination of mostly squash and stretch for the humor and a few natural movements, with mostly the use of real hair, textures, colorful lighting, and most likely in this case, real eyes with realistic pupils, which for the latter elements was debatably quite risky to execute in the final results because in a way Animat is not a fan of how modeled the eyes are crafted and almost united. Funny enough, one of the biggest challenges for the film's animation was the extended use of effects including fur and water in all of its forms, and even ice and snow plus everything added, since in this case it's partially a grand scale of snowy environment. Plus the fact that they had to make millions of strands of fur from the mythological creatures. But with the help of other artists, including animator Jason Reisig as co-director who previously worked with Carey on DreamWorks' Over the Hedge, the use of technical and artistic aspects downstream managed to finally be completed later on. The film's musical score was composed by Heitor Pereira, who previously worked on the animated franchise of Despicable Me and other Illumination films. Originally, the film was not a musical, even unlike the other LEGO movies' musical moments. But after 6 months into production, the recent WB chairman, Toby Emmerich, suggested of making officially the film a musical, and one of the reasons of doing that, besides of enhancing the story, it was apparently due to most of the recent popular modern Disney animated musicals like Frozen and Moana. So with that said, director Kerry Patrick and his brother Grammy Award-winning and Tony Award nominee composer Wayne Kirkpatrick, who both previously collaborated in musicals like Something Rotten, managed to write 6 original songs including a song representing Michi's curiosity to a world of life discoveries,
with another song that serves as a combined reprisal, a rap-style musical number for the chief's song,
and exceptionally the random musical moment Percy's Pressure song, with music from the song Under Pressure and additional lyrics by Kerry and Wayne Kirkpatrick. Still, as I previously said regarding this being unlike the LEGO plus Teen Titans movies and other parodic musical moments as mostly pop culture jokes,
besides of being officially the first animated musical by Warner Animation Group,
this film was the first official musical theatrical animated film by Warner Bros. Animation since the 1998 animated film Quest for Camelot. For the film's marketing campaign in late summer 2018, American pizza chain Chuck E. Cheese announced to be the official partner of the film. Funny enough, marketing materials for the films like a series of posters in Los Angeles advertising the cast of the film with phrases such as Zendaya is Michi turned into a minor internet meme in a short song by Gabriel Gandacker.
By the way, to promote the film with its soundtrack in the major internet media, besides of additionally releasing the sing-along version of Michi's musical number, the song Moment of Truth, performed by artist Cynthia Labosny, aka CYN, was released as a sing-along music video and even considered as the singing voice of Little Susie, despite that the character is partially mute in the feature and the musical moment serves itself as a montage in the film's conclusion. In other words, as another musical addition for the promotion of the film, an internet event called Do the Jerry Dance Challenge has been made for the media.
When it hit theaters on September 28, 2018, it generally received positive reviews, with critics mostly praising the visuals, themes, musical score, and the voice performances, although not much for the weak plot execution
and bland characterizations.
Yet many even consider that the film generally offers a colorful distraction that should keep young viewers entertained and a story with a message that might even resonate with older audiences. At the box office, it grossed around $83.2 million domestically and for a total of $214.1 million worldwide, against a budget of $80 million, making the film quite a financial success in general. Afterward, when the film was released on home media on December of the same year, it included an animated short film titled Super Susie, which is about the young little Jerry Susie trying to act like a superhero after the events of the film. As for awards, besides of having numerous nominations for some random awards, the film was nominated for an Annie Award for Best Music with Pereira and songwriters Kirkpatrick Brothers, which it was given to The Incredibles 2 with Michael Giacchino's music. But at least it won a Truly Moving Picture Award at the Heartland International Film Festival. Plus the fact that this, along with Teen Titans Go to the Movies, was preselected for the Animated Feature category list, while its credit song Finally Free was listed for the song category at the Oscars, but none of them got the nomination.
Speaking of that song, written and performed by Niall Horan, it managed to pick a couple of Billboard charts, including the Mexico English Airplay chart at number 39 and number 2 on Bensington X Billboard Top Livestream Artists chart. As for the overall soundtrack itself, it managed to reach at number 8 on the Billboard 200 chart list.
One of the songs of the film, Wonderful Life, despite not getting on the Oscar lists, became quite a strong following since its release, and it has become one of the most memorable tracks of the film and Zendaya's performance on YouTube,
especially as one of her top promotional singles in her discography.
Interestingly enough, after the success the film had, there were some thoughts of a possible sequel, since the main writers still had many ideas in mind but wait hopefully for the world to digest the possibility to a certain extent. Despite not being the greatest, this film has been regarded as an instant classic in family entertainment, even showing that beyond new things to discover, it's indeed a wonderful life. A year later, once again, Warner Bros. Would bring the beloved characters from the Toy Line movie that started it all and its rebooted company for another dimensional adventure with the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Setting 5 years after the events of the first film, but at the same time since an unpredictable threat of gigantic proportions, the Lego Duplo Space Invaders,
even literally following the ending of the first movie.
Emmett tries to cheer up his friends and girlfriend Lucy with high optimism and happiness despite being in the desert. But when all of his friends, including Lucy, get captured and taken to outer space by a different type of female figurine, it's up to him to go and rescue them with the help of a new, strong ally named Rex by traveling outer space, where he'll experience, along with his friends, a new action-packed adventure on a strange galaxy where everything's a musical, and their bravery, creativity, and master-building skills will be put to the test to know how special they are and save the entire LEGO universe. Before even the first film got released in theaters, plans for a follow-up began in 2014 and was announced to be in the works on February 3rd of the same year, along with Jared Stern and Michelle Morgan as the writers, and Phil Lord and Chris Miller remained as co-writers and co-producers of the film, simply titled as LEGO Movie 2. Originally, LEGO animation director Chris McKay was going to be in charge of the direction.
Not to mention that he told to the production crew that the film needed more female characters than male characters.
But due to his involvement with the LEGO Batman movie, he was replaced by Rob Scrap, and during that time, the film was later retitled as the LEGO Movie sequel.
And quite similar to the LEGO Ninjago movie, this film had a lot of story changes during production. But unlike that film, this one officially had a lot of production trouble with its director.
The ideas for the sequel have gone through many modifications and changes during production, that even after Miller presenting the first draft, several rewrites by Raphael Waxberg, Dominic Russo, and Matthew Vogel had to be made, and later the official script would be rewritten once again by Lord and Miller. Plus the fact that the core element that the crew wanted to explore was the theme of the kids' imagination playing or sharing with the siblings in a complex way. In other words, sometime later, DreamWorks director Mike Mitchell stepped into the director's role, replacing Scrap due to creative differences. Chris Pratt, the voice of Emmett, returned to reprise his role while also performing the newly added character, Rex Dangerbeast. All the cast from the previous film returned to reprise their roles, despite that some were limited to appear, while also including new members of the cast with new characters, including Tiffany Haddish as Queen Whatever Wannabe, and Stephanie Beatrice as General Sweet Mayhem. Interestingly enough, regarding cameos plus new ones for the feature, Daniel Radcliffe was originally set to voice a lookalike of his Harry Potter character known as Larry Potter, but his scene was ultimately cut due to the apparent fact that the director didn't want to risk anything that would upset the Harry Potter fandom. So the character was replaced by Larry Poppins, another lookalike character based on the British media icon Mary Poppins,
but also as a reference to the Disney movie.
Only original Aquaman and unlicensed knockoff Larry Poppins!
Well, I say a spoonful of salt helps the medicine go down.
In the case of the film's visuals, while still having the same style of the first film, besides of having more space sci-fi elements across creative galaxies, one of the few elements explored for the feature was the difference between the creative settings of an apocalyptic land
as a comedic movie reference to the Mad Max Fury Road,
with some creative aspects of seriousness on characters,
plus the fact that some updated looks for the main characters were explored through several changes. But in the end, some updates didn't end up in the final film.
And the sweet colorful universe of Sister System, where everything is more female touch plus a girly type of universe with different kinds of toys like huge Lego Duplo block creatures and figurines, where there are more female characters than what happened in the first film.
The character that probably had the most complex design to basically create and move was Rex, since the crew had a variety of explorations for his aspect and characterizations on his tough personality. And so, when presenting his official aspect for the character animation, his character of self-claimed action-packed space adventure guy plus dinosaur trainer, cowboy and archaeologist was primarily based on Pratt's previous roles, including separate portrayals from Jurassic World, Magnificent Seven, Marvel Cinematic Movies, and the TV mockumentary sitcom Parks and Recreation, all into one adventurous Lego character.
Galaxy defending archaeologist, cowboy, raptor trainer, who likes building furniture, busting heads, and having chiseled features previously hidden under baby fat.
Even including some references to Indiana Jones.
When animating the basic characters and effects, with the same animal logic software plus the same use of CGI with stop-motion style for the entire film, with the case of including new live-action sequences after the first movie events. The crew also took
of more creative use of cinematography, graphics including 2D and film editing, and also the chance
of pushing the technology forward by giving more textures on visual aspects including the characters, giving more realism of being made of plastic. Plus the fact that they even gave the visuals on the SCOUTART system some other basic effects like sparkling glitters and paper aspects,
along with other kind of colorful effects.
By the way, one of the most creative elements put on the film,
and even the most challenging to colorfully design and model,
was the character animation of Queen Waterbra, since the goal for her movements is constantly shape-shifting in different appearances with many surprises, especially during musical numbers. Speaking of which, despite not being exactly a musical, during production, while also witnessing the success of recent Disney animated musicals and the Lego Movie theme song, Miller wanted to give more songs on the feature after rewriting the ideas, partially for the female system universe sequences. So beyond that, following the attempt to create an earworm with the first film's Everything's Awesome, the producers of the film created a similar song for the sequel called Catchy Song, which mainly features as its only lyric the repeated phrase, "This song is gonna get stuck inside your head." The song, along the other musical moments, was written by John LaJoy,
performed and
produced by Dylan Francis, and performed by T-Pain and That Girl Lay Lay. In other words, while including an opposite version of Everything's Not Awesome, the music artists also made a remix version of the popular song put at the first apocalyptic scenes of the film. When it comes to the score in general, once again, Lego composer Mark Mothersbaugh returned to be in charge of the musical score. In terms of marketing, just like the first movie,
and especially merchandise,
Lego released over 20 sets based on the scenes from the movie, including collectible minifigures and even a video game based on the film, which is also a direct sequel to the first Lego Movie game. For the international brand, like specifically in the UK, DFS Furniture ran a marketing campaign that tied in with the movie. Other national brands that partnered with the film include Chevrolet for promoting the Silverado, Chiquita, McDonald's for Happy Meal toys, Discover Card, and Turkish Airlines. Speaking of the latter, that brand, along with Warner Brothers, released a special safety short video featuring characters from the franchise. Another short film released by Warner Brothers was a Christmas holiday-style promotion to the second film, Emmett's Holiday Party. A month later, Lego released a music video titled Everything's Awesome, Dance Together music video on its official YouTube channel. And then January 5th to January 26th, 2019, the Lego channel released a series of
stop-motion
short films saving Vicksburg, in which characters from the film were shown in short reenactments of the Lego Movie.
Fun fact, the film originally was going to be released on May 26, 2017, and then later put for May 18, 2018. But then for the third time of rescheduling for a February release of the following year, due to apparently the obvious production troubles. Even probably due to the releases of the other animated films by Warner Animation Group. At this point, it was a great anticipation for the crew because not only it was a grand return of the beloved characters from the Lego Movie, but also it was like a blessing for the company due to the fact that the duo Lord and Miller had a successful experience with their collaboration with the Academy Award-winning animated film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and there was a win-win situation of making another great success for a couple of months after the 2018 December release of Spider-Verse for Sony Pictures Animation, and so preparing the hyped-up sequel arrival, Warner Bros. Made exclusive screenings of one-day previews of the film in over 500 American movie theaters.
When the film finally got its release nationwide on February 7, 2019, while Denmark having its release a day prior, the sequel received great reviews, generally saying quite as much fun as its predecessor. The second part fits neatly into an animated all-ages franchise with heart and humor to spare. As you can see, critics and audiences praised the film similarly for its humor, animation, soundtrack, voice acting, although some noticed that it wasn't as fresh as the first film. At the box office performance, it did mostly well by grossing $105.8 million in the USA and Canada, and then $86.5 million in other territories for a total gross of $192.3 million worldwide, making this a moderate hit in general, but unfortunately, unlike the first film, it was a great underperformance. The crucial reason for those numbers was the apparent fact that it was attributed to the low opening to franchise fatigue due to the release of 2 spin-offs before the LEGO sequel, as well as Warner Bros. Promoting the film using similar tactics from the first film, leading audiences to assume the sequel derivative and indistinguishable from its predecessor. In other words, unlike the first movie, the film received random nominations including Best Visual Effects in Animation at the Visual Effects Society, Best Animated Film, and Best Original Song for Not Evil and Catchy Song at the Chicago Indie Critics Awards, and 3 Kids' Choice Award nominations, winning only a Movie Guide Award for Best Family Film.
And speaking of the catchy song, it managed to reach some US Billboard charts, including number 19 and 76 on the Hot Dance Electronic Songs in Weekly Chart and Year-End Chart, number 1 on Kids Digital Songs, and number 13 on Rap Digital Songs.
At this point after the movie's release, because of the underperformed results, many of the plans for future LEGO projects, including the Batman LEGO sequel,
and even another LEGO project called Billion Brick Race by Jorge Gutierrez,
had to be most likely cancelled, and Warner Bros. Allowed their film rights with LEGO to expire, officially making this as the final film of the LEGO series provided by Warner Bros. Animation, although the main characters would still remain as part of the WB property. So after the decisive breakup, LEGO has later entered into negotiations with Universal Pictures for a new first-look deal. Dan Lin has been expecting to remain as a producer through his company LOOKBACK, and in April 2020, the deal with Universal was set for a 5-year film deal. Funny enough, regarding the entire Warner Bros. Franchise and other fun facts, Chris Miller stated that all of the LEGO movies are based on the imagination of a child character, with the LEGO movie events happening in young Finn's mind. Miller also affirmed that the LEGO Batman movie was also from the imagination of Finn and Bianca, though the characters did not appear in the film, although Bianca was alluded to as Philly's boss.
One fun fact regarding the creative duo is the part that despite the great praise they had for the first LEGO movie and the overall appreciation of the entire LEGO franchise, plus the animated legacy, ironically, they both had a lot of trouble and such controversy when casting most likely the competition called the LEGO effect, similar to the 1990s Disney musical effect and later the Shrek effect when it comes to random animated films trying and failing in capitalizing the success of highlighting movies, is what happened to the LEGO competition with such elemental films like the Playmobil movie and especially the pathetic commercial looking animated film, the Emoji Movie.
At this point overall, the sequel itself, despite not having much awesomeness but having the essential fun along the other LEGO films for the LEGO fans, this film plus the entire LEGO movie franchise has indeed shown how entertainment can be shown with a touch of creativity and awesomeness beyond toys through innovating use of animation and having a lot of LEGO fun while it lasted.
Like one YouTuber has already mentioned, everything has indeed been awesome and temporary.
No. It's only over if we give up.
Well, it's over and we're giving up.